There is evidence that it can certainly affect them. I am not aware of any proven case where the fracking process itself affected water, although there are investigations ongoing.
Fracking represents one of the greatest opportunities for strengthening our nation's energy security and spurring economic growth. If New York would allow fracking, 520 shale gas wells would sustain over 60,000 new and needed jobs.
These bills are nothing more than reckless giveaways to big oil and gas companies that put American families and the environment at risk.
As you can see from the previous clips, the fracking debate is heated and both sides offer compelling arguments. Proponents of fracking argue that fracking will bring jobs to America and solve the energy crisis by reducing our dependency on foreign oil. They also argue that fracking is safe. For example, the spokesperson for Energy in Depth, which is a public affairs website launched by the Independent Petroleum Association of America, states that integrity failures are exceedingly rare, a fraction of 1%. However, opponents of fracking argue that the environmental costs outweigh the economic benefits. Allison Chin, the Sierra Club president, stated that no state has adequate protections in place. Even where there are rules, they are poorly monitored and enforced. The out-of-control rush to drill has put oil and gas industry profits ahead of our health, our families, our property, our communities, and our futures. If drillers can't extract natural gas without destroying landscapes and endangering the health of families, then we should not drill for natural gas.
6 states have documented over 1,000 incidents of groundwater contamination.
It bubbles and hisses when it comes out. I won't drink it.
Whoa, Jesus Christ.
The 2005 Energy Bill eliminated the EPA's authority to regulate fracking. This bill exempts the oil and natural gas industry from the Safe Drinking Water Act, Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, and Superfund law, and in 2013 the House passed legislation blocking the Department of the Interior from regulating fracking in states that already had their own regulations in place. According to Gasland and BBC, there are serious environmental concerns about fracking. The first is that fracking uses huge amounts of water. 2 to 8 million gallons of water are used for each well. All of this water must be transported to the fracking site using tanker trucks that run on diesel, a fossil fuel. The second concern is that the chemicals used may escape and contaminate groundwater around the fracking site. There are also fears that the fracking process can cause small earth tremors.
So is fracking safe? According to the 2011 United States House of Representatives Committee on Energy, the most common chemical used in fracking is methanol. Intaking more than 500 milligrams of methanol a day can be deadly to humans. Methanol can be absorbed into the body by inhalation, ingestion, skin contact, or eye contact. Ingestion is an important route of exposure. The CDC reports that methanol is also highly flammable. Even if methanol is getting into the water a fraction of the time, it's still very dangerous, especially with long-term exposure. One has to wonder, why isn't Congress doing more to legislate regulations on fracking, or allowing the EPA to further regulate fracking? The answer may lie in the donors. Since 2000, BP has been a top contributor at least once to 140 members of Congress. Chevron has been a top contributor to at least 250 members of Congress. And ExxonMobil has been a top contributor at least once to 425 members of Congress. These are just 3 of the top 10 largest natural gas drillers in the U.S. The top recipients of oil and gas donations in Congress are almost all located in states with a surplus of natural gas. So one must wonder, are donations strategic? Do representatives feel pressure to support deregulation of the oil and gas industry because that's where they're getting the money to get reelected?
The only plausible explanation I can come up with about why oil companies continue to receive the bulk of public subsidies, why they're not required to testify under oath, and why they're immune from adequate scrutiny is the fact that they give so much campaign cash to politicians.
And now, with a majority of Republicans in the House and Senate, it seems unlikely that any sort of federal legislation will be passed that will limit or regulate fracking, especially since these large oil companies have already previously donated to the RNC and other Republican organizations. The oil industry donated $2,821,199 to the RNC in the 2014 election cycle. And while these donations won't necessarily make members of Congress take action on their behalf, they do provide an incentive for them to leave the lack of regulations as they are. So we would speculate that, until something really drastic happens, regulations won't change, and at that point, hundreds of thousands of people will have already been affected by the negative impacts of fracking.